Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of our Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, when good IT goes bad. Your application's font is unprofessional. What do you mean the database deleted itself? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. When good IT goes bad. This is a prequel story to my series The Boss Volunteers Our Company for beta testing. This is a follow-up to several questions of why MP did not trust the IT department. I will try to tell the story as I know it from several coworkers who were there when these events occurred. The company was proud to have so many employees that had been working there for 10 plus years and more. This makes for a wide array of stories. Let me set up the situation and players. IT, former IT director, who I replaced. Owner of the company. MP, Madam President, also owner's stepdaughter. HR, human resources director who is best friends with MP, who later becomes GM and my supervisor. The owner had a small-size beer distributorship and was looking to expand. He had hired a recent graduate from college who was helping at his house, cooking, cleaning, etc., but he also knew about computers. At the time the company was primarily run via paper. He brought IT into the business, and he quickly started to build a computer network and distribute new computers to the essential workers in the company. This was probably around the mid to late 90s. IT brought this small company into the modern age. They then started to explore ERP systems that were designed for beer and soda-type distributors. They found one based back east, and IT started to build the server required for this ERP system. He completes the server, tests it and starts to do business with it, and all is good. He is promoted to IT director and is basically in charge of running the day-to-day business since he helped build it from scratch. Business is booming and they need to move to a bigger warehouse. IT leads the charge into the new building, helps design the network, electrical and more. The owner basically lets him take control of all aspects of the company. They hum along and business is great at the new facility. Then it happens, owner decides since the company is in such good shape and good hands it's time for him to retire. He chooses his stepdaughter who has worked in several positions at the company for about 4 years as the new president of the company. If you have read my stories, she is MP Madam President. The transition was quick and before most of the employees realize, owner is gone and now MP is in charge. I can't tell you how many times I've sat and listened to employees who talked about the good times when owner was still in charge. A week after owner left, the general manager retired. This left a huge hole in the company. Some said that as soon as GM knew about MP taking over he packed his bags, because he did not want her leadership over him. MP had a decision to make. Does she hire from outside the company or does she promote someone from within? A big decision to say the least after your first week as president of the company. MP and HR were constantly having meetings and lunch together as the question of who the new GM loomed. IT tried several times to schedule meetings with MP and lay out his case for the position, and when he finally did get to talk to her one-on-one, she praised him for being the architect of their computer network, ERP and all things technical, but asked if he would stay in that role. He would be more valuable to the company as IT. MP told him she was considering hiring from outside the company, someone who had experience as a GM. IT conceded to her decision, went back to his office defeated, 12 plus years of building, and he had hit his ceiling. A week later there is an email announcement for an all-company gathering in the hospitality room. There is a fully catered lunch, drinks and dessert. At the meeting MP gives a speech on the state of the company and its bright future. She announces the person who will help get the company there as the new GM. HR. HR will immediately take the role of GM. So she chose her best friend in charge of HR to become the new GM, and eventually my direct supervisor. IT is completely enraged, stands up and leaves the party. If there was bad blood between them before, it's now an all-out war. IT drags his feet on helping with anything MP or GM are working on or trying to learn. He sends reports to owner telling him what a terrible job she is doing. Owner, who now lives out of state, suddenly starts making surprise visits to check in and help MP with the business. When IT is included in meetings, he shoots any ideas MP and GM have down. MP and GM give up trying to talk to IT and exclude him from meetings, conference calls, etc. since he's being difficult. This goes on for several months. IT is now getting belligerent and having yelling matches with GM in the hallways. The final straw is the morning MP walked into IT's office. MP, good morning IT. I was hoping you could print out the daily productivity report for me. IT, it's going to take me a few minutes, I'm busy with a few other things. MP, too busy to send the report to the printer? IT, yes. Being a complete a-hole. Then, this apparently happened, as she is standing behind his desk asking for the report. An email pops up on his screen, and it's not an email for him, it's one of her emails. MP, what is that? IT, what is what? MP, that email? That's my email. ITO that, I've been working on the Exchange server, and just doing some testing. He wasn't. MP, testing with my email? I can't believe you are reading my email. That's it, we are done. You're fired. The story from that point gets dicey at best. There's a shouting match between them, and he finally storms out with some last choice words for MP. Fast forward 6 months. I'm interviewed for the IT job with MP. We get along fine and she's ready to hire me on the spot. She tells me vaguely the trouble she had before and says if GM approves she hopes I can come in and redeem the IT department. My interview with GM went like this. I show up early to the facility for our meeting. If I'm on time, I'm late. 8 a.m. is my interview time. I'm there at 7:50 a.m. I fill out some paperwork and wait in the waiting room. I'm also still working a contract job that is an hour and a half drive away that I still need to go to. I wait and I wait. It's now 8:30. I ask if someone is coming to speak with me, they say, yes, please wait. At 9 a.m. I'm still waiting. I ask again and they assure me someone is coming. At 9:15, HR comes and pulls me into a side conference room. HR, hi, I'm HR, have you been waiting long? Me, well, actually I've been here since 8 a.m., and I still have an hour and a half drive to get to my current job. HR, oh, I'm terribly sorry. I just found out you were here. Me, I'm supposed to be meeting with GM. Is she going to be here? HR, she should be. I just got a text saying she's on her way. Okay, I know what you're thinking, red flags all over the place, but I was blinded by the promise of steady employment and benefits to see what was happening. HR, so you are here for the IT position. I don't know much about IT, so we'll have to wait for GM. In the meantime, are there any questions you have for me? Me, sure. How long have you worked for the company? You like it? HR, I've been here almost a year. It's a great place to work. It's literally like family around here. Me, what do you mean? HR, MP's stepbrother works in our POS department, her daughter is in marketing, her younger brother is one of our sales reps, and I'm MP's aunt. Oh, and my husband is the company lawyer, legal. Me, wow. HR, there's GM now, peering out the window. Let me go talk to her, and tell her where you are. Me, thank you. I look at my watch, it's now 9:35. I told my supervisor that I'd be there no later than 11 a.m. I'm beyond that now, I hate being late. I wait in the room for another 10 minutes until GM comes in. GM, I'm sorry to keep you waiting, I just found out about the interview. Me, not a huge problem, but I still have work today, and now with traffic it's probably a 2-hour drive. GM, oh? Well, if you need to go, I totally understand and we can reschedule. Me, no, really, I'd rather not. Since we are both here and if you are ready, let's do the interview. GM, I'll make it fast. We have our interview. I tell her my IT journey. Yes, I have more stories. I never intended to have a career in IT. She tells me about the company and we wrap things up and I leave. The next day I get a call from HR offering me the job plus doing graphic design as part of my IT duties. Oh man, that's another story of why, yes, sure, I know Photoshop. We have to negotiate salary because what they offered me was extremely low. We finally agree on a starting salary with the promise of a raise 6 months in. Note, never agree to any salary and or promises of increase unless it's documented. 6 months into the job there was no review, and no mention of a raise, and HR can't recall agreeing to that. That's on me, my mistake for assuming they had my best interest at heart. Anyway, I'm hired and on my first day they show me around. The IT office and server room combined is as big as a walk-in closet, but my desk is upstairs in the sign-making shop. I'm looking through binders the previous IT guy had, and first thing I discover is a list of passwords. Not vendor passwords, usernames and passwords for the entire company. I call GM. Me, hey GM, did you know IT had a list of everyone's password in the company? GM, oh, yes, it was convenient when we forgot our password. IT would tell us. Okay, admins out there, we all know this is a no-no. What else was wrong here? No inventory list of computers. No admin password list or instructions for the servers, no contact list for vendors. The list went on and on. It took me months to track down all the info, starting with making everyone change their password and keeping it to themselves. About 6 months into the job, a strange email is sent to the entire company. It was from an internal account that was disabled and was a bizarre rant about MP's uncle, the company lawyer, legal, and how he was horrible and had a strange odor. What? This is weird. I checked the account and it was sent from. The mailbox was activated, email sent, and then disabled again. I start looking through accounts making sure things are secure, but it's a mystery. I talk to GM, and she doesn't seem concerned, and I'm scrambling just to keep my head above water with several IT issues around the office. A week later, with my hands deep in the guts of a desktop repair, another email appears, from a different disabled account, but with the same kind of message about how horrible and rank legal is, and then signed from IT in my name. What the hell? I didn't send this. I call the IT support group we had at the time. They were helping me support the servers and Exchange, and I have them trace the IP of email origin. GM calls the police, and I give a statement and info on what we find. They follow up and trace it to the former IT's house. He had built a back door, enabling this account and sending malicious emails targeting legal and signing it from IT me. When the police told MP about the situation, she wanted to press charges, and they raided his house and arrested him. We could not prove that he caused us a financial hardship more than $X, XXX amount of dollars, and thus they couldn't prosecute him with more than a slap on the wrist and your probation. One of our front desk workers suddenly stopped showing up for work in the middle of all this, and I heard later, about a year later, she was interviewed by the police because there was email between former IT and her discussing the email messages and their plan to get me fired so she could take on the role of IT. What the hell is wrong with people? Anyway, I did my best to rebuild the IT security, infrastructure, documentation and trust, but I never seemed to develop trust between myself and MP. I was usually left out of any planning meetings, ignored at monthly meetings with her executive team, and overall treated as just some IT guy. And this all leads to her decision to put the company at the top of the list for an improved delivery system, and telling me at the last minute. Read that story here. Your application's font is unprofessional. Years ago, I worked at a small consulting firm/software developer that worked primarily with local government offices. Working with local government is interesting. Let's just say that they have more than the normal share of people who wind up in positions they aren't fully qualified for. One such individual was the head of IT support for one of our customers' office. This gentleman, we'll call him Hank, was very sure of his expertise in all things computer. Those of us who had to deal with Hank, however, were skeptical. We met with Hank and other members of this particular customer administration once a month to discuss our software implementation. It wasn't what I'd call a flawless rollout, but despite a rocky start, things had started to smooth out. The majority of staff at that government office had transitioned to the new app, and we had worked out the kinks of most of the workflows. Or so we thought. Hank was apparently not happy with our software. Rather than submit his concerns as tickets to our help desk, which I ran, he decided the appropriate way to handle this was to ambush me with a laundry list of complaints at our monthly meeting, in front of my boss, and in front of his boss. In the middle of the meeting, he stood up, pulled out a stack of papers, and read complaint after complaint to the room. All complaints were from him, rather than actual end users, many of which had already been addressed, but he saved the best for last. His final complaint was that he was looking at the data extract our software generated to comply with a state reporting requirement, and that the font the application uses looks extremely unprofessional. After pointing out that this was literally the first time we were hearing all of the unaddressed issues, since he had never reported them to our help desk per the established policy, I expressed confusion over the last complaint, since the data extract just generates a .csv file. We don't have a specific viewer bundled with our app, so that particular report doesn't get any fonts from us. I asked for a screenshot, and Hank agreed to send it once he got back to his office. Sure enough, he sent a screenshot, showing the contents of the report displayed in good old Comic Sans font. Opened in Notepad. In a screenshot that included his Windows desktop, where all the icons also had their names in Comic Sans font. Turns out Hank had taken advantage of the Windows theme feature, selected a theme that used Comic Sans as the default font for all Windows applications, and then accused us of using an unprofessional font. What do you mean the database deleted itself? Hello everyone, brand new account, because IRL people discovered my old username, but alas here we are. This happened just after the new year as everyone was coming back from vacation. It was a very busy time as projects were being put in again after a slow December. All the background needed is I am a software/database analyst for my company, and I typically help our customers when their stuff breaks. Me. CC concerned customer. I be IT bro, the only person at this company who has more than 3 brain cells. So this is almost verbatim how the conversation went. Me, good afternoon, I have an email from you for my company too. CC, on the verge of tears from the sound of her voice. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for calling me back. Our database deleted itself. Our entire inventory is gone. Me, well ma'am, please don't take this the wrong way, but databases don't just delete themselves. I'm sure there's a perfectly reasonable explanation for what is going on. Can you tell me? CC, no you don't understand, it's gone. I've checked our backup folder, and there is no database backup, but I do one every night. Me, that's certainly odd. Let's get me remote in to take a look. After getting in the Win 10 computer, I look at the SQL Server data and backup folder and sure enough nothing is there. I also go to check the My Company directory and program files, x86, and the program is there and seems to have all of the required files, but the settings.xml file is showing 0 KB. Me, ma'am, are you sure this was the app server PC and not a client? I see the program installed and the settings.xml, which looks like it has been corrupted. And there is SQL on here, but it looks like it has no information in. CC, full on hysterical switch engaged. Yes, I am sure. I am the department manager and I have used this computer for the last 8 years every day. I personally back up the computer every night, and I am telling you the database deleted itself. The dark lords of computing have ravaged what was once a hollow place, and have turned my plentiful fruits of data barren. Okay, so she didn't say that last sentence, but she might as well have. Me. Okay, well, I just needed to ask because again, databases don't just delete themselves. When was the last time you had used the program? Did anything happen that stood out as weird or related? CC, I have been gone for 2 weeks on vacation. I got back today and my third shift person had told me there was a power outage, and when the power came on the program wouldn't open, and then I looked, and it was deleted. Me, Well, do you have any client computers who were connected to this PC which ran the software? CC, why would that even matter? The database is gone. Me, please just humor me. As it turns out, there was 3 client computers. I connected to all 3 and the first 2 had corrupted settings.xml files, which makes sense if they were being written to as the power outage hit. The third one was still intact thankfully, so I opened it in Notepad and looked through it. And what do you know? Me, man, this client PC tells me your app server is the original PC we were connected to, but not the database server. The database server appears to be obvious SQL database hostname. CC, that is not even a computer I manage, and I would know. I didn't give anyone permission to change anything. You obviously are reading something wrong. Me, ma'am, do you have local IT on site? Can you conference someone in with us? So after like 5 minutes of rebuilding settings.xml files, 20 minutes of waiting and a few games on Flashpoint, IB hops on the call. IB, hey, SQL stole my dog, I heard you had some questions for me. Me, yeah, hey man, looks like something has happened to the locally stored database for the My Company program and CC really needs it back and running. Do you by chance know if there were any changes made in the last week or so? IB, oh yeah, we had a 10 GB database on original PC, which I saw was being manually backed up, so I moved it to an SQL server and created a task to automatically back it up and move it to a network shared drive. Is that okay? Me, actually. CC, how dare you mess with my database without asking me? I am the direct manager for this department and I should have been told about any changes made. You need to put my database back immediately. Me, actually CC, IB did you a pretty big solid it looks like. He saw a blatant single point of failure, the Windows 10 PC, that was only being manually backed up by you, and to the same drive as the original database nonetheless, and not only moved it to a dedicated server, but got you reoccurring automatic backups in a networked location at the same time. You should be buying this guy lunch for going above and beyond. CC, I don't. Me, and not to be rude but honestly if you're going to back up anything, why would you back it up to the same drive as the original data source? If the drive fails your backup is also gone? CC, what do you mean? If the drive fails the backup can be recovered. Me, and where would the backup be recovered from? CC, the failed drive obviously. Me, and if the drive is not recoverable? CC, that's what the backup is for. At this point I decided just to finish the call and thank IB again for being proactive. Honestly, the fact that this lady for 8 years was manually backing up her database every night in and of itself was astounding to me, but by the end of the call I was too dumbfounded to continue trying to educate somebody that wouldn't get out of their own way.